Hey everybody, this is Paul, and I'm going to share with you what I've learned about cold weather and dragon fruit. So hopefully you've seen our video that 2 years ago we used incandescent lights and a tarp. So Christmas lights under a tarp, you can see here, and it was pretty successful, and that will buy you a few degrees. Now, what I've learned over the years now is that I tend to not do much until temperatures dip below 40 degrees. So we've had some frost here recently. You can see here in this photo, and it was really cold. It was down to 33 degrees in that photo. Now, last night it wasn't so cold, but just for demonstration purposes, you can see I'm now using the Planket. I got this on Amazon. We'll put in a link below. You can check it out. And it's designed to protect plants from frost. And what I like about it is we're not associated with it in any way or not, but I like that it's breathable. And that's a good key feature. It's water resistant, and it works well for me. I've been covering some plants to protect the new growth. You can see here, this is Cosmic Charlie and Nitzel. And this one had some new growth, and I just wanted to protect it from the last bouts of frost. So you can see it's under here, and it's not aborting. So it's doing just fine. I tend to protect things like American Beauty and Guatemalan varieties. They tend to be a bit more sensitive, same with Pelora in my experience. And over here I have some Columbiana and a Desert King seedling. So what typically happens here is the fruit could abort, but in this case they're doing fine. I did lose a Natural Mystic fruit last week due to the cold weather, but this is what always happens, is the new growth will kind of freeze off, turn yellow, and break off. So it will just stop the new growth. You can see here, luckily, like these tips, it didn't get quite cold enough here, so the frost did not affect, the cold weather did not affect this Desert King seedling. Now I do have a damaged American Beauty or some type of similar plant. It's unknown. And let's go check that one out, and I'll show you what frost damage looks like. So this is a different section on the property here, and you can see it's a little bit colder in this part of the yard. So here's some new cold damage. This is one of George Emmerich Jr.'s hybrids. And you can see it's just getting really stressed out and damaged from the cold. It will start to yellow as well, but this is telltale sign of fresh cold damage. Now what happens after a few weeks is if it continues, the yellow will turn to rot. So let's go down here. I'll show you another variety that's rotted out, and actually here's another one with some cold damage. So I have three. So this is a Polyrhizis, and you can see it's just discolored. It's not happy. And so this plant is being affected by the cold too. And we've had, again, about a week of really cold weather, 10 days of cold weather, and this is all fresh damage. So down here you can see some of my hybrids that I'm evaluating, seedlings grafted and ungrafted. And I kind of put them here on purpose because I want to see how resilient they are from the cold weather. You can see this is yellowing, and this is all from that recent cold weather. This is an Assunta seedling. So I grafted it, I don't know, a year and a half ago or so. Now, the one that has the most damage on the property is actually in one of the lowest parts of the yard, and so I'm assuming all the cold air has drained down here and kind of sat in this spot. And so this is very similar to American Beauty, which is a sensitive Guatemalan variety, and you can see what happens. So it'll turn yellow and eventually lead to this rot. You can see I'm gonna have to remove this whole plant. Well, at least this whole branch, I should say, not the plant. So I'm gonna cut it a little bit below the rot, and I'll be better about protecting this from the frost. So that's what damage looks like from cold weather. And again, certain dragon fruit are more resilient to the cold weather versus something more sensitive like an American Beauty or a Guatemalan. Now, fresh and young cuttings, you want to do something else. So let's go up to the greenhouse and I'll show you how to protect those new cuttings and unrooted plants. Hey, so this is inside the unheated greenhouse here, slash tool shed. And what I do is I put all of my unrooted cuttings that are in soil, or they barely have roots, on this left side. So they get a little bit more warmth and sun throughout the day, and they will root, even if it's in the middle of winter. See, they're getting a little bit of roots. So you just got to be patient here. This is a 3S. And over here on the right are ones that I usually will put outside once it's warmer. You can see I have an Antamoya tree. Look at this mango in here as I protected this new growth. So I'm really excited to keep that safe in here. And once it warms up a little bit, I'm going to take all of these and put them out into more sunlight. So all of these have roots, and I tend to let the cuttings develop roots. I give them about 180 days. We learned that from Oceanside Dragon Fruit. So Leonardo there recommends that they typically will keep their plants in a 1-gallon pot for about half a year. to root, and then they transplant them. So that's kind of my strategy to protect them from frost. Now that it's getting so cold, I wouldn't recommend trying to root any plants using soil, at least in my climate, zone 9B in Southern California, because they'll just sit there without roots. So what I do is I put them in the garage, and I could just let those cuttings sit. Or you could see here, we actually have a heating pad and a heating mat, and I keep this grow light on for 24 hours. So you can see the footage here. That's how I root my plants. I'm actually using 100% worm castings, earthworm castings, and distilled water. So this strategy has been working great. Okay, so here we are. I hope you've learned something about how to take care of dragon fruit and plants in cold weather. So give us a like and a subscribe. Have yourself a wonderful day. Thanks for watching. Take care.